Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it might be where you're watching this. It's me, Celine Driver, coming to you with another episode of Not Walkin', but Sittin' and Talkin' Tuesday, here from the lovely backyard of my humble estate in sunny Florida, where it is a lovely 85 degrees today. Beautiful blue sky. Maybe a little overcast behind me. Typical early March day in Florida. Let's see. We're using the Battle Angel Memorial selfie stick. We're not walking in the street, which is right over there. It's been a little bit of time since I did a chat like this. Good reason for that. The life thing. Life has been getting in the way. Also, they were recently repaving all the streets in my neighborhood, and the combination of heavy vehicles, smell, and a lot of dust rendered being outside sort of unpleasant. So, what am I wanting to talk about today? Well, I saw this video recently by my good friend Uncle Lou regarding the NCAA's lack of desire to do anything about flopping. Thus making the NCAA football no better than European soccer and American basketball in terms of tolerance and even seemingly tactile encouragement of flopping around like a fish out of water, faking injuries, and otherwise just being a bunch of whiny bitches. Now, I understand why they do it in football. It was in response to the hurry-up offenses. Fake an injury, stop the flow of play, while an injured player is attended to, gives the team opportunity to substitute in defensive players, breaks the rhythm, etc., etc. Okay, I get all that. But the conclusion of Lou's video was that there's really nothing you can do about it. And far be it from me to disagree with my friend, who admittedly probably knows more about college football than I do. Hell, I'm just a old guy sitting around playing with watches, and not as heavily invested in college football as he is. But I'm going to disagree with you, sir, and all those who think like you do. I think not only should the NCAA do something about this, I think the penalty is relatively simple. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to engage in all kinds of gnashing of teeth and hyperbole and bitching and moaning about it. It's very simple. If a player is injured in the course of a game, whether it's a real injury or a fake injury, that player sits out for the remainder of that drive. Simple. If one of your safeties decides to flop in the middle of a drive to slow the opposing team down, that safety goes off the field and sits for the remainder of that drive. Simple. So if he's really legitimately injured, he'll be attended to on the sideline, and his substitute will go in and play for him. And if he flopped for the sake of flopping and slowing the momentum down on the opposing team, same thing. He sits, and his substitute can go in and play for him. Now, is that much of a sanction? Well, it depends on how good the player who flopped is and how good his backup is. If his backup sucks, well, then the team that you just flopped for is penalized. And yes, I believe if you're going to do a flagrant violation of the rules and fake an injury, or maybe not flagrant violation of the rules, but the flagrant lack of sportsmanship and lack of competitionship, then, well, sucks to be you and sucks to be on your team. You just cost your team perhaps points, perhaps the game. Because there's a reason that you're on the starting team, and there's a reason the guy behind you is on second string. Capiche? So I don't think this is hardly a major problem at all. If you want to flop, fine, flop. There's consequences to flopping. You're off the field. And don't even go into the whole thing of whether he's faking or whether he's not faking. If he's hurt, he shouldn't be on the field anyway. So get him off the field for at least that series, maybe even the quarter. Hell, let's go all out. If we're gonna kick him off for the series, let's kick him off for the remainder of the quarter. And if the quarter is, say, down to under 2 minutes and he flops, then he's out for the next quarter. And if it's in the fourth quarter, he's out for the first quarter of the following game. Now, there's precedence to this type of rule. If you're playing football, college football, and your helmet gets knocked off in the course of a play, what happens? You have to leave the field for one play. I don't think my example is any less of a good reason to discourage flopping, because there's already precedence. If you get your helmet knocked off in the course of a game, you're off the field for a play. If you get injured, you have to leave the field. If somebody has to come out and attend to you, whether it's real or not, you have to leave the field. So I say, okay, you left the field, you had the wind knocked out of you legitimately, well, okay, but somebody came out and attended to you, you should be out for at least that series. You maybe come in in the next series. If it's a flagrant flop, maybe you're out for the quarter. Or maybe even the half, or maybe even the game. This is not something that has to be made overly complicated, in my humble opinion. If you're hurt, legitimately or illegitimately, you should be off the field. And I don't see why this is an argument, and I don't see why people are saying, oh, the NCAA can't enforce it. Of course they can enforce it. It's a simple rule change. If you're hurt, leave the field for the rest of the series. Now, whether that series is one more play or 10 more plays, you're off the field for that possession. The next time you're on, if you're a defensive player and you're hurt legitimately or flopping, you're off the field for that defensive stand. Now, whether that's one play on defense or 10 plays on defense, you're off. The next time your team goes on defense, you can come back on the field if you're not hurt. If you are hurt, obviously you wouldn't come back on the field, right? Same on offense. If you flop on offense or you're hurt on offense legitimately, you're off the field for that series. Now, whether your team scores on the next play or it takes 10 plays, you're off the field until the next time your team comes out on offense. It's simple. All this gnashing of teeth and rendering of underwear and all these genuflections and silliness, it's unnecessary. It's a simple rule change. There's an old saying, if you want to discourage a certain behavior, tax it. Associate a penalty with that behavior. We tax, for example, we tax cigarettes. Not only to generate revenue, which is actually the primary reason, but ostensibly, quote unquote, to discourage people from smoking. If you make it expensive enough to smoke, people won't smoke. We all know that's bullshit, but that's ostensibly the logic behind a cigarette tax or a tobacco tax. You want to discourage a behavior, you penalize it. It's simple. You want to discourage people from speeding, you make the fines very high and the insurance rate jack up very high to discourage people from speeding. It doesn't always work, but some people won't want to risk the extra cost. You want to discourage people from killing each other. Well, you make the penalties for murder so extreme that people will think twice before committing murder. The logic is the same here. You want to stop people from faking injuries, you make the penalty so severe to the person, to the player, and to the team that you will hopefully begin to discourage that behavior which you don't want. It's called a sanction, and it works for the most part. Now, obviously, it's not going to be perfect. People are going to do it anyway. Maybe the coach sends a second stringer out and flops, and the first stringer comes back in. Maybe that's the workaround. I don't know. I could think of workarounds for almost anything. But I am going to respectfully disagree with folks like my friend Lou, even though they're more football smart than I am, and say that this is something that the NCAA absolutely could deal with and absolutely could work to actively discourage with rule changes. So that's my take on the flop rule, or the lack of trying to do something about the flop rule. I think something has to be done about flopping. It's detrimental to the spirit of the game. It's detrimental to the pace of the game, and it all around just makes American football look more like European football, and nobody wants that. So that's my take. You want to make comments down below? Tell me where I'm right, tell me where I'm wrong, go ahead and do it. But if you're going to troll me or you're going to get nasty, I'll just delete it anyway. Don't forget to click that thumbs up, guys. And this is your boy, Celine Driver. And I'm out.